Question 13 is a critical thinking question, which is asking us which of the following is an assumption of the above argument. So let's go through the argument. Should people who've been convicted of serious crimes be able to return to their careers after serving a prison sentence? At first sight, it seems only fair, so that prisoners can be rehabilitated into society. But what if that person has a career in a high-profile job, e.g. a professional football player? Millions of young people regard football players as heroes. In this case, a second chance is not justified. It risks sending a message to young people that such behaviour is acceptable. For high-profile people with young fans, there should be no second chance. So then we have to work out what the assumption is of this argument that people who are high profile shouldn't get a second chance because of the risk the message it sends to young people. So let's look through the options. Option A says that young football fans cannot distinguish right from wrong, and that this is the assumption of the argument. Now, the argument doesn't make any such claim, although it does say that there is a risk of sending the young a message that such behaviour is acceptable. There's nothing to suggest that young people will fall either side of the argument. It's just that that message shouldn't be sent out. So we can discount this answer as being an assumption. Option B says the assumption of the argument is that offenders should, in most cases, be allowed to obtain employment after prison. Now, this isn't necessarily an assumption of the argument. It appears to be the conclusion of the argument that, aside from these high-profile people, everyone else should be allowed to obtain their prior employment after prison. So this isn't an assumption, so we can discount this. Option C says the assumption is that football is unlike other sports in attracting high proportions of young fans. While the argument makes no such claim, it extends its principle to all high-profile people with young fans, so we can ignore this. Option D says the assumption is that the rights of the individual are less important than the risks to society. Now we're getting somewhere. Now we're striking to the heart of the argument, because the only thing that distinguishes these high-profile people from, say, any other convict is their fans and the potential effect that sending a younger message that criminality is acceptable. That's the only distinguishing factor. And that's what's going to determine their employment prospects, their freedom to pursue their careers. So the argument is saying that the risk to society of promoting these individuals exceed their right to pursue their employment. So this strikes the heart of the argument and is the underlying assumption. Now, option E says that those convicted of serious crimes must accept risks posed to their careers. Well, according to this argument, the only people who have a risk to their careers are people who are high profile and with young fans, as opposed to those convicted of serious crimes. Everyone else, it seems, has a reasonable chance of returning to their careers. In fact, it appears to be only fair and just that they should be able to do so. It's only the high profile with young fans for whom there should be no second chance. So this isn't what this argument is suggesting. So we can say, bearing all this in mind, that our answer must be, D, which is the rights of the individual are less important than the risks to society. So we can say our answer is D.